What's up? Ooh, I was gonna comb my hair, but I forgot. Oh well, whatever. Video request by Gypsy Hustled. Sorry it took me so long to do this. Not entirely my fault. My computer wasn't uploading, but here we are. Gypsy Hustled. Follow up to limitations and profit incentive. Maybe we could call this the capitalism series. I believe that profit incentive or militarism can actually hinder the development of humanity. Always on the news, they say our government can't fund space research, alternative clean energy, or healthcare due to a deficit of finances. We once sent men to the moon, which was a huge breakthrough, but I believe the main intention was due to the arms race with Russia, rather than just to explore and develop knowledge of the universe. Since America is now the dominant military power by a mile, there is less support for space exploration. We now wait, what did I say? We now wait on entrepreneurs like Richard Branson, Virgin Galactic, and Elon Musk, SpaceX, Tesla, to provide transport people, to provide exploration. Elon Musk, here I'll just get really close and have it all in one thing. Elon Musk wants to develop a hyperloop system which involves using tubes to transport people at high velocity across the country planet, replacing air car travel. Think daily commuting to LA from Denver without emissions. If this technology is possible, all indications is it is, then why should we as a society rely on entrepreneurs to provide it? Why can't the government just give us the hyperloop technology already instead of waiting on Elon and his investors to make it happen? Why can't government send humans to Mars just because we can, rather than wait on the deficit to reduce or a new arms race to begin? It seems like we have to wait on either war, arms race, or capitalists with profit incentive, Richard Branson, Elon Musk, to provide society with innovation. The ideal situation would be like Star Trek, where we explore and innovate for the benefit of humanity. I believe that it's a lie we can't pay our debts because we can print money we need. Do you feel the national deficit is used as an excuse for privatization, furthering wealth concentration with the few? And what innovation would you like the government to develop? Thanks. Wow, you give such good requests, Gypsy Hustled. I'll try to talk as long as I can. If the battery dies, I'll have to charge it and do it again because I'm only at 3 bars. I thought it was at 4. But anyways, yeah. So follow up on limitations of profit incentive. I believe that profit incentive militarism can actually help hinder the development of humanity. Yeah. Yeah. He was saying that we went out to. We afforded to go to the moon back in '69, on computers that were like not even tenth as strong as like modern day cell phone, and now we have way bigger rockets and all that good stuff. So why don't we go back to the moon? Well, I think the real reason we're not going back to the moon is because we're not allowed to. There's this, the rumor in New Age circle that the aliens said, no, you can't come here because they found like broken down spaceships and alien bodies and like cities on the dark side of the moon and all sorts of shit. And they were like, you ain't coming back. So I kind of believe that. There's that idea that there's the what's that called? The Van Allen belt. It's a really high frequency like radio force field around the Earth that kind of blocks out all the UV rays and keeps us alive. And they think that if we went through it, we'd burn up, and like maybe the aliens that like put a force field around us. There's stories of when we went to the space to the moon of like there's this energy being that was out there that they saw, and then it came up to him and actually flew inside the cockpit with him, and I mean. What's that guy? The astronaut. Not Gordon Cooper. He saw aliens. Buzz Aldrin, dude. He's on a talk show where he's telling everybody that there's a giant spire on the moon. You can see it. Just type Buzz Aldrin spire on YouTube and you'll see it. He says it right there. It's a viral video. And then, of course, Edgar Mitchell, the sixth man to walk on the moon, there's a press conference where you see him stand up, say, "You guys, there's aliens here, they're watching us." And then he said, I heard him in an interview on Coast to Coast saying that Werner von Braun told him, Werner von Braun's the German Nazi they brought over to do the space program with the rockets. He told him that he saw the spaceship that crashed in Roswell. So anyways, that's probably one reason. But the other reason that we don't have money to do all that space stuff and to go way up in space so many times with us, other than just planting satellites and stuff, is that we can't use our current technology to do that. It'll destroy our ozone layer. Every time we do a rocket up there, it burns a hole in the ozone layer, and it can't replenish the same way that like if you cut down trees, that we could grow trees back. It takes a long ass time. We're developing a huge ozone layer over the South Pole. So the only way that we're ever going to be able to start flying up in space a bunch of times is if we do it with anti-gravity, with the way that the aliens do it. And we can't do that until we invite the aliens down. And we can't do that until we acknowledge that they're here. And we can't do that until we all organize, get our religion all organized and under agreement, and stop, fighting each other, mistrusting each other, and all that kind of stuff. So it's a sequential thing that we have to do to fix all that. But another reason is why we can't fund like alternative clean energy research is is because we have the power structure is revolved around these people who make money off of that stuff, because that's where you can make, they make a lot of money on the energy and the oil industry, and the which is tied into the arms industry, and it's such a big chunk of the economy, the world economy, that the people who are in control of it are afraid that if we make it more democratic, like a society will crumble, because we would just get it would be too much of a level playing field, and people who are ignorant would take over and cause problems. Like third worlders would move into first world and bring their third world bullshit. And there's a lot to be said for that. I agree with a lot of that. I think more important than developing, taking power away from these big corporations and stuff, like some kind of coup, is to, instead of doing it in some kind of violent way, or getting angry with them and saying that they're bad people, was the best thing to do is to just vote politicians in who can then make the right decisions that help everybody. But we can't do that until we know who to vote in. We can't do that until the citizenry is smart and knows what the hell they're doing and can communicate. So at the end of the day, the blame lies on the modern everyday people. I could even blame myself. I didn't even vote this last time. A couple weeks ago, I was going to, and I had the ballot there and everything. And the next thing I know, the elections were already gone, because I was spending all my time organizing my house. But I'm not going to beat myself too much about that, because I do my timeline, man, and I do my YouTube videos, and I do my Kindle ebook page and my website. I do a lot of stuff that I think is good for the society. So I'm not, if I miss a election cycle, it's not that big of a deal to me. But yeah, so I think it all boils down to politics, man. I think I agree with just about everything Jesse Ventura says. We need to get rid of political parties and just have it so you vote for individuals, and then get the money out of politics. Young Turks have this thing called Wolfpack going, where they're going around and meeting up with politicians and getting resolutions from all the different states in America to the governors to put a resolution on the table to put an amendment to the Constitution of the United States that says that we have to get money out of politics, so that it's actually illegal to donate money to politicians' causes. So people would only thrive on small money donation from actual citizens, and the people would the constituents. The people who are running for office would just have their website and their ideas, and that's the only way that they have to advertise themselves. And so then people will actually be forced to do a little homework and vote on the guy who has the right thing to say rather than the dude who has all of the advertising. Because, that's how stupid people are. They're just, oh, look, advertising. That's the guy who's the best guy to vote for. Vote for him, blue team versus red team. They got this whole blue team versus red team thing. They can't go for the third guy. All that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, if you get 2/3 of it's actually written in the Constitution that if you get 2/3 of the states to have to vote on the resolution and actually override the federal government, and the president and those guys can't do anything about it. They have to put a amendment on the Constitution that says that that it's illegal to put more than like a couple $1,000 or whatever it is, whatever we decide it is, donation to the people who run for federal office, and I think state office too. And interesting, I got all this information from the Young Turks. I saw their video yesterday. I favorited it, or I liked it. But every single generation of America since the beginning of the country has put an amendment on the Constitution, except for our generation. So this is our amendment to put the amendment on the Constitution of the United States of America that says that you can't donate all this money to the politicians, lobbyists. I heard Jesse Ventura said giant corporations spend more money on lobbyists than they do on like anything else. That's their big budget. So if you look at, and I actually listened to the audiobook, and I'll do a book review when I listen to it again, of George Custer. He's that American general who got his ass kicked by the Indians back in 1879. He wrote a really good book. He's a really brilliant guy, really good writer. He wrote a really long ass book. It was like 17 hours or something, about his whole life on the plains. But he was mentioning that there was actually 3 branches of the government. And this is like in the 1860s. There's the politicians, like the federal executive judicial branch, and then there's the lobbyists. And that's kind of how it is now. These lobbyists, they're just a part of the government. There's a story that if you they went and somebody asked a congressman like what they believed on an issue, and the congressman called him back and just referred him to their lobbyist, who was a lobbyist for a big company and just got their idea from him. So the congressmen are just kind of like these puppets, They're the people with the nice big smiles and who can get out there and don't care about saying whatever to do what the people who pay them tell them to do, and they don't care. They have no conscience, and they get to live in that governor mansion or whatever. Get that money and their $100,000 a year, or whatever it is, $140,000 a year, and then of course all the other kickbacks they get. When they get out of government, they go right into like Wall Street, and so it's obvious if you look at where these guys work. They just go like federal, like who is that guy? Hank Paulson, he's the chairman of the Federal Reserve or whatever. He gets out, goes to Goldman Sachs, and then the guy who's in there now was in Goldman Sachs. It's gotten a lot worse. It started with back in the 1920s. I may be getting sidetracked, but back in this is where the whole problem comes from. Back in the 1920s, which caused the crash, it was all these people were making money on the stock market, and they were basically scamming all of the regular people out of the money because everybody thought you could just make money by investing in the stock market. So all these people were just investing, but they didn't know that the guys who were really rich were doing insider trading. They were just getting together and knowing and like actually rigging it so that they would win anyways, and kind of like cheating in the gambling table and taking everybody else's money. And then everybody finally, it kind of, people started to realize how it was all bullshit, and then the lower guy realized it was all bullshit, the lower guy, and then everybody realized all at the same time, and they all pulled out and realized that the whole economy was revolved around like just throwing money in for nothing. And it's like a bunch of like ants running around doing nothing, like trying to build an anthill out of like paper towels because it's easier to carry around than sand, in the heat of the day. It just like exploded. So then, that's when we started Medicare and all the Social Security under FDR to help to help support the little guy, since the little guy spent all of his money to just pay all these rich dudes who weren't doing anything. So he started that, and then that's when he started all of these like national highway programs and all that kind of stuff, and put everybody back to work. And then they did the Glass-Steagall Act in 1933, I think it was 32, with FDR, who's, I would say, was the most effective president, along with the other Roosevelt, who was like his second cousin. But Glass-Steagall Act was so that we could separate investment banks from regular banks, so that these bankers couldn't go in and use normal people's money to to invest in to make money making money off of other people, basically like leeches. And then back in 1956, they did some other act which had a loophole, which said that can't remember what the name of the act was, but it said that that like if the chairman of the Federal Reserve thought that it was prudent for the country, he could make exceptions to the rule. And so they got Alan Greenspan in there, and he did some other act. Anyway, it led to this other act, the Gurman-Sherman Act. I don't know. I need to study up on this, but it was back in '99. And there's this conspiracy theory that they did that whole Monica Lewinsky thing to try to weaken President Clinton, because he didn't want to sign it, to weaken President Clinton's reputation, so that the only way that he could escape getting impeached was by signing this bill. And so he ended up signing it into action, which repealed the Glass-Steagall Act. So now that the banks the investment banks and the personal banks could all be the same bank, and they could start using normal people's money again to get the rich people richer by using that money to make more money, invest in stuff. And of course they were in there tied in with the Federal Reserve, spending our money and making money for a small amount of people, and we don't even know what they're investing in. We're not they don't have to disclose under law. Yeah, so anyway, stuff like that. Like 78, they said that they made a law that said that corporations could be like people, so they could go and lobby as though they were people. And then in 82, they did some other act that law. But anyways, so now, compared to I guess, what was it, like the 70s, 45 banks had 25% of the market share, and now only 6 banks have 25% of the market share. And yeah, like the top 1% own 20% wealthy compared to everybody else, compared to 30 years ago. And I mentioned in another video, back before Teddy Roosevelt broke up all of those robber barons monopolies on railroads and steel industry and all that kind of stuff. One guy, I think it was J.P. Morgan, owned 60% of the wealth of the whole country. Well, it's kind of similar to that now. All of the surviving, the 6 surviving members of the Walmart people, they own 40% of the wealth of the entire United States right now. So, and so anyways, when you have all that power concentrated in such a few number of people, then they just kind of these are people who do stuff just to make more money. That's their goal, to make more money and get richer and richer and richer. That's what they do. That's the kind of person they are, and so they don't know anything else, and they don't really care. And so when they get this is what Franklin Delano Roosevelt said to try to make an argument for his Glass-Steagall Act. He said, we live in a fascist world. I think it was him. When his definition of fascism is when the super rich people, the business people of a country, have more power than the actual politicians, than the actual, for the people to vote the politicians in. So even if the people voted the right people in, they don't have the power to override what the businessmen do. Then you're living in fascism. And so we're kind of becoming fascist now, and big companies abusing power. Like Walmart. There's Walmarts all over the place, and you have to pass a drug test to get a job there. You can't smoke marijuana, and you have to not smoke marijuana for over a month. So like if you smoked weed once 3 weeks ago, you can't work at Walmart. I mean, that's like Nazism. So now we've got Nazism, fascism. Not my definition of Nazism is people wanting to throw somebody in jail and marginalize somebody just on the kind of person they are. And I consider stoners like a kind of person. It's just another type of person. Just like the Jews, it's a type of person. You could divide people into races, age groups, religions, or personality, and like stoners, there's a subset. And so if you're going to go against them, just to go against them just because you don't like them, that's my definition of Nazism. And then fascism. So now we got the Nazism, fascism going on. Oh. So anyways, that's the real reason. So let me get back to what he was saying. Militarism definitely hinders the development of humanity. It's kind of that thing where I was saying where you're just running around working, and you're actually not producing anything. And that's the kind of economic structure we're getting into now with all of this investment banking and these like complex derivatives where people would make money off of other people and make money turn into money. Like when they were saying you could solve it by printing money. That's not true. We print more money. The whole reason we print money is so that we can give more of the money to the rich people. You create more money. I mean, you can't create more money. There's a limited amount of what creates money is what creates real wealth, real money is production. And you can't increase production unless you actually put like poor people to work and all that kind of stuff. That's how you create more money. So when you print money, what you're really doing is you're just taking money away from poor people and giving it to the rich people. And they have all sorts of fancy ways of doing that. Like don't tax the corporations. Corporations don't pay like less percentage of tax than poor people. Poor people like 25%. Corporations are like 0%. Or 1%. Like what was it? Rupert Murdoch says he only pays 8%. That kind of stuff. So yeah, that's not the answer. But yeah, I mean, if you get the government in there to actually funnel money towards, I think what this person's getting at is that you get the government in there to funnel the money towards the poor people. And actual things that create stuff, like highway construction and stuff like that, then that's what we need to do. That's kind of like what Obamacare is. It's getting that money and funneling it back into the poor people. Medicare. I need to call the People's Clinic. They actually called me and said I qualified for Medicare and I need to go in and sign up for it. And that's all due to Obamacare. I'm going to get health care insurance pretty soon because of Obamacare. So. Now, and people need to pay attention to all these lies about Obamacare, like Obamacare is making my insurance go up, da 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 da. A lot of this stuff is lies, man. People lie right through their teeth, man. They don't even care. There's this guy, Barney Frank, who I saw a video where he said he voted against that bill that repealed the Glass-Steagall, but everybody knows he voted for it. So I guess in his mind, like he said he voted against it, or like, so maybe when he says he voted against it, he like wanted to vote against it. And that's good enough to just go ahead and say you vote against it. I mean, people they just lie, dude. So, anyways, militarism is like one of those things that just makes you spend money on doing nothing. I mean, we're spending all this money developing this stuff that then destroys. We have a great economy. We're building giant wrecking balls to tear down buildings and then build them up again and tear them down. Yay! What a great economy we have. I saw this episode on Vice, where they built up all of these skyscrapers for people to live in, and then now nobody lives in them. They just wanted to build the skyscrapers to make money for the developers to build the skyscrapers. So it got them really rich, and then they got to post their development, their like 5% annual growth in China, and then what? Once they're done growing, and now what? Now they're not going to grow at all, and then those buildings are going to crumble, and then they're going to have a catastrophe. So, and that's kind of what we're doing with the militarism. We're just spending all this money on these drones and bombing people and killing people and going into countries and sending these kids running around the hills, shooting people, and like, for what? To get the bad guys? That's not how you get the bad guys. That's how you piss people off and create more bad guys. If you want to make these countries your friend, you spend that money giving them computers and setting up internet connection and all that kind of stuff. Joseph Ventura gave an interesting statistic. He said that we spend like 20%, I think, of our budget on defense, which is like, that's 1/5. Like, look at my hand. That's gone just on building weapons to kill people in America. And why? Like, who's going to attack us? We're like in some corner of the world, way far away from China and Russia and all these other countries that might attack us. Canada and Mexico aren't going to attack us. What the hell? We spend more money on defense than the next 26 countries combined, and 25 of them are our allies. And we have like 170 like bases all over the world with all these people. We've got like 40. Back in '97 when I was in Korea, we had like 40,000 soldiers there, troops there, just stationed there. And now we have 30,000. I mean, if we wanted to deter North Korea from attacking, maybe we should just be nicer to them and give them computers and hook them up with stuff and, make them our friends. Or, we could deter them from attacking South Korea with one of our aircraft carriers. Just bring an aircraft carrier over there. We don't have to. And then Germany. What the hell do we have? We have like 40,000 soldiers in Germany for. I mean, World War II ended before anybody alive now was even born. Germans are our friends. Germans love America. What the fuck? It's crazy. And, so we, everything we do, it's just for money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. So, not money for everybody, money for the people in charge. And, anyways, so let's see here. So why can't we fund alternative clean energy? Well, because that would help normal people. And then where's the profit? And so anyways, the only reason we can't is because of the whole politicians. We don't have the right politicians in there. Now the dude, like do we have to rely on entrepreneurs to develop these like special technology that I guess this person was saying, some kind of free energy air travel that can get you all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, the hyperloop system, using tubes to transport people at high velocity across the country. I don't know what that is, but yeah, I think you can definitely rely on entrepreneurs to do that for us. There's lots of really good entrepreneurs, really good, really rich people. Bill Gates is giving all his money away. He has it set up so that his foundation is going to completely run out of money within 10 years of his death, and his kids don't get any. And he's not the only one. There's lots of rich people like that who do cool stuff. I don't think Richard Branson is one of those people. I wrote on Richard Branson's YouTube page offering him to donate money to my timeline, and he just deleted my comment, so he's just a poser. Let's see here. But yeah, there's people who would do that, and they would, they'd start it, they'd get it, obviously they do it to make money, but they do it, but I think they would also do it to, help the people. They just, develop some system, and then they pay some guy to, or they charge the really rich people to take it, and then they can, it may take a little bit longer than getting across in a plane, but they get to be the first people to do it, and then it becomes more and more affordable, and then everybody's taking that hyperloop system across the Atlantic Ocean, all that good stuff. So yeah, I think so. Basically, the answer is yes. We can rely on those super rich entrepreneurs the billionaires to do stuff to help everybody else out, but not all of them. Just a few of them, and I don't know what the percentage is. I don't know any people like this, but that's not the best way. The best way is just to vote politicians in and take the power away from those billionaires so that they don't have so much money. Start taxing them and have it living in a system where we all communicate, so we all know the difference between right and wrong. We know the difference between when somebody's telling the truth and somebody's lying and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of starts with individual people. So yeah. He said, we once sent to the moon, which is a breakthrough. This person says it was the main intention was due to an arms race with Russia. I agree with that. Rather than just to explore the development on the knowledge of the universe. Yeah, dude, we wanted to make big rockets so that we could kick Russia's ass, and so we used going to space as kind of a test for that. Since America is now dominant military by a mile, there's less support for space exploration. Yeah, and there's less money for it. Yeah. So that makes sense. If we're spending 20% of our budget on the military, then yeah, we're not going to have a whole lot left over for other stuff, are we? We now wait on entrepreneurs like yada 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 to provide. Yeah, we do. Elon Musk, hyperloop system. If this technology is possible, then why should we as a society rely on entrepreneurs to provide it? Well, because we're not voting. We're giving them too much power because we're voting the wrong people in. Why can't the government just use the hyperloop technology already instead of waiting Elon and us to make it happen? Because we don't have the right politicians. We're voting people in who are backed by all those big donors like the Koch brothers. Now those Koch brothers, they don't want the Obamacare because they think it'll give too much money to the poor people. So they have that ad with like Uncle Sam like coming up and like trying to rape people and that big evil grin trying to rape people in the hospitals and stuff. And it's like, this is like classic low brow propaganda, man. Like with the Nazis, remember the propaganda in the before World War II with the Nazis? They would show all these too many rats running around gutters. And they're saying, those are the Jews, and look at those rats destroying the streets and pooping all over the streets and overpopulating. Well, that's the Jews. And then they'll show Jews. They're like, see? And then, I guess that worked. All these people are like, okay, yeah, Jew rat. So now they're doing the same super lowbrow propaganda with this whole, these Uncle Sam looking all crazy coming up through the woman's stirrups and people looking all scared. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, see, just like that. Yeah, okay, now I get it. Yeah, Obamacare is Uncle Sam trying to stick his finger in your pussy. Well, if you're stupid enough, it'll work. Apparently people are really stupid because it pays off. Those people pay money. I mean, these people aren't dumb in that way. They know how to make money. They put the money into this big propaganda campaign. The Koch brothers, they start this, these like big, like, political action groups or whatever called like Americans for Justice and stuff, and then it's just propaganda machine. The Koch brothers have a newspaper. It's like an LA newspaper, the LA Times or something, which loses like millions of dollars a year, but they use it because it's just their propaganda machine. That's how. And then people start voting for the right people, and then you try to have a political conversation with the person, and they're like, "What you watch too much mainstream media?" It's like, I don't even watch TV. How do I watch mainstream media? You're the one with the TV. Like, they just stupid people. They just learn. They just parrot what they're told to say, and then they're basically accuse free thinkers as being what they are, and they don't even realize it. Projection, dude. Projection. Okay. Why can't government send humans to Mars just because we can, rather than wait for the deficit to reduce or a new arms race to begin? Well, because we don't have the money for it. We're spending money on the arms race. We could if we really wanted to. We just have to take money away from other things, Like if I really wanted to like do my kayak trip, I could sell everything I own and I go do my kayak trip. You know. Okay, it seems like we have to wait on either war or capitalists with profit incentive. Elon Musk to provide society with innovation. Well, you don't have to wait on them. Ooh, excuse me. We can all become smart. We can all educate ourselves and vote for the right people. That's the first thing we need to do. We all need to come to a consensus on what we believe and what we want. And it's more fun to do it that way, you know? Like talking like this is kind of trying to like build a pyramid backwards, you know? You have to start it from the ground up. And the ground are the people, the regular people, you know? Have political conversations with like your family members and your friends instead of like talking about the football game, this kind of stuff. Upload videos on YouTube, sign the petitions, that kind of stuff, you know? Turn it into, make politics like a pop culture type of a thing, you know? Because once we get the good politicians in there, then we can make the right decisions. The people who made the laws in the beginning, all the founding fathers with the Constitution, they're brilliant. They're really good at writing in a system where there's checks and balances, and you know, we have a democratically elected republic where you know, if you vote all the right people in from all the different places, then they have the power to override what any like rich dude says. The only reason the rich people have all the power is because they're paying for the advertisements for the people to get elected, you know. The only other recourse they'd have is if they started like stuffing ballot boxes, but that would be some like complicated process that they'd have to do. And, you know, they'd have to have a lot of inside people who can keep secrets, and you'd have to be bad and like believe what they do, and there'd be this huge payroll, and it would be impossible. They'd never get away with it, especially if we have like paper ballots like before. You know, we should take advantage of the fact that we have a democratically elected country with these laws that we have to follow, and if we all voted for the right people and knew what we wanted, then none of these problems would happen. So it has to start from the bottom, ground up. So, the ideal situation would be like Star Trek, where we explore and innovate for the benefit of humanity. I believe that it's a lie. We can't pay our debts because we can print money, any money we need. Well, I think the real reason that's a lie we can't pay our debts is because we can just spend our money on other things. I think not paying our debts is is a way. I think that as far as the political, what's that word? The conspiracy going on about the whole national debt has to do with people, deliberately making a really big debt so that all these countries are tied into each other economically so much that it's more possible for these rich people to do international businesses with other countries that don't have like strict regulations on labor. You know, like Walmart gets all their stuff from China, who then pay people like $1 a day and stuff like that, and pack people in like sardines. And if we have a big debt, and we're tied into China because we own so much, and supposedly, so then they have a reason to say, oh yeah, so if we stop doing business with China, then they're going to make us pay all their debt back, and yada yada. It's just stupid gobbledygook language for stupid people to follow. No, what we should do is stop spending so much money on international aid to other countries, stop spending so much money on military, and then we would just naturally pay our debts back the old-fashioned way, like regular, normal freaking people do, you know. And if China doesn't want to do business anymore, then with us, then we won't do business with them, and we'll bring the jobs back. I mean, what can China do? Well, we pay our debts back. We'd have enough money to pay the debt right back. So that's probably the extent of that conspiracy. But yeah, we could totally pay the debt back. Okay, so do you feel the national deficit is used as an excuse for privatization? Yeah, I do. That's what I was saying. Furthering wealth concentration with a few. And what innovation would you like the government to develop? Yeah. I mean, it is, the national debt is the way to keep privatization, because it's the national debt. It's us who owes the money. It's not these big companies. It's the people. It's the taxpayers. It's the country who has the money. So where the fuck do they care? They don't care. They can use the fact that they get to do business with those countries because we owe money. We got to keep the relationships going, and then we can borrow more money of their money that we can use for ourselves. And yeah. Anyway, so what innovation would I like the government to develop? The first innovation that I would like the government to develop is a national aeroponic system, growing aeroponic food, aeroponic skyscrapers within every big city. There's this thing called AeroGrow. It was invented in Boulder. You should check it out. It's only $160. At least a few years ago when I noticed. When I get the money, I want to buy one. It can grow plants 5 times faster than the best dirt. You can grow it and cry out in a hermetically sealed building, so there's no bugs can ever get in. So you don't have to use like any kind of pesticide. You don't even have to use special Monsanto food, because a lot of this Monsanto food is engineered so that it can resist bugs. And that's not fair to the bugs anyways. We don't want bugs to go extinct. We want to have as big of a ecosystem as we can and keep stuff as natural as possible. We can just grow, and then Monsanto can't seed the aeroponic system with their seeds because it's hermetically sealed. It can't fly in there accidentally, and then they can't sue you for growing their stuff. And so it grows super fast. You can power it with fluorescent lights, which don't take a whole lot of electricity, which you can get the power from the solar panels all over the sides of the building. And with the wind, because these are giant buildings, and at the top of the buildings it's really windy, the wind turbines can provide the power, and it can be self-sufficient. And the water can get recycled over and over within there. They don't take much water, and the only vitamins you need is phosphorus, which you can also, it's easier to recycle that way. Yeah, because we're starting to, the way that we farm now, we're starting to pollute the groundwater with all of these pesticides, which is causing us to get cancer. And, we should nip it in the bud instead of trying to develop ways to cure cancer, which is great, which we should do. We should just make the environment a lot less toxic. And that's a good way to do it. Stop spending money on military, stop spending money on subsidizing the cattle industry, which pollutes. And is also just bad for lots of other more esoteric reasons. That's the first innovation I would like the government to develop. We have a lot of bridges that are crumbling. Every once in a while you see a bridge collapse, a bunch of people die. We have to, there's a lot of roads in America, infrastructure in America. I'd like to build a big fence between here and Mexico. We have too many Mexicans immigrating here, and too many people living here who don't ever even care about learning English, and that's not right. We should. It's this weird classist system we're developing, where we got all these totally uneducated people who would work here for nothing. They're paying people $7.50 an hour here in Boulder to drive their cars around shoveling snow because they can, because there's so many Mexicans here who don't know English and can't do anything. And the best way for Mexico is just for Mexico to deal with their own problems and bring themselves up and make themselves more democratic, rather than shoveling off their peasants off over here and causing problems. But that's another. But I'm not totally convinced about that, because that's another thing where you're building something that doesn't actually do anything. But it just doesn't seem like it would cost that much money to build. But you're not really creating anything. I mean, the education. We need to. The other thing I think is to change up the educational system and make it more. Well, I talked about this in my education video, but to make education more where it's more in the hands of the local people, so that the teacher has more control over what his classes are going to be, and then the student has more control over what he's going to study, and that instead of having you graduation diplomas from different schools, and you have to and grades A, B, C, D, E, F grade. It's the meritocracy is only based on how well you do in tests, and that's it. And how and your body of work and your personal website and what you've created, and that's it. Has nothing so the teacher could hate your guts, and you could hate the teacher's guts, and it doesn't matter. You can still get ahead, and that teacher can't hold you down or anything. I think students and teachers would get along much better that way, anyways. Because students get pissed off at teachers when teachers abuse the students. So, now, yeah. So that's technological innovation, because there's a whole bunch of different stuff you can do to fix that, like, like tests where you're in a room where you're being filmed and taking the test. You can take the test whenever you want. You don't have to take it just on a certain day. And anyways, that's a whole nother video, but that's what I'd like to see. And yeah, that hyper thing would be great, to fly across the oceans. Also, those tubes. I think the guy who started eBay has an idea to do one of these like air tubes, levitation magnet chamber underground air tubes, so you can get from like LA to San Francisco in a half hour, and that kind of stuff. We should definitely develop, because it's underground, so it doesn't visually pollute the world. You don't have to carve in big stuff along the sides of mountains, and big train tracks across the mountains. You can keep the actual landscape looking as pristine and natural as it ever was, and everything's going down underground. Just people traveling, you get around, and there's there's no pollution, because you can power it with a central power system that can be a lot more efficient. And yeah, those are the main ones. How long have I been talking? That's long enough. Okay, but good request, Gypsy Household. I'm going to let the battery charge, and then I'll do more. Peace out.